covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Inside the Walls podcast. I am Jim Mernier, the host of Inside the Walls podcast, episode 123, NAL Gameday, week 17. Alongside me is Philip from the Smoking Guns podcast. Once again, he makes his return to the episode, seeing I was here this past week. Philip, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Yeah, you may not have seen it because apparently YouTube and Facebook deleted it all as Jim tries and struggles to fight with those algorithms to get back. But I was here Tuesday. I'm here again on Friday. Good way to round out the week. It's not Zach Kyleman, and we all love Zach, but you get to put up with me for another little bit of time as we get ready for week 17.
Week 17, we have two games. A big one in Greensboro, where the Carolina Cobras host the Jacksonville Sharks.
They're both big. Both games are big.
Well, one game could be a warm up for one team, and the other one is just to see if they finish the season on a high note. In Odessa, in Columbus, in Greensboro. I don't know why I said that other team. In Greensboro, you got Carolina fighting for the 2 seed. With a win, they get the 2. With a loss, San Antonio gets a 2, and San Antonio gets a chance to host a playoff game next week. Jacksonville has nothing to – they have something to play for. It's just that they are already got the 1 seed locked up. They are – no matter what, they are hosting Orlando next week. Same with Orlando. They are the 4 seed. No matter what happens, they will stay the 4 seed in the NAL playoffs coming next week to start the first round. And 2 and 3 they're technically already locked. It's San Antonio versus Carolina. Just don't know if it's in Greensboro or in San Antonio. So let's get of course, this is a live stream. We're on 5 different pages right now. We're on Inside the Walls podcast, Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitter, X, whatever. Same as Smoking Guns on Facebook and Twitter as well. Remember, this show's live, so we will interact with you guys. Just send your messages. We'll answer the questions as they come, and we'll answer to them at the best of our ability. Of course, me and Phil have connections with the NAL San Antonio, so we'll try to get the most accurate information to you as much as we know. We're not going to give you stuff that doesn't have any, how you want to say this, fluff. We're going to give you the facts, what we need, or what we know. So, well, let's get into the media poll type of ordeal, as it's a routine here on NAL Game Day. And unfortunately, Zach's videos, Zach was supposed to have a video talk about some of the stuff. Unfortunately, he didn't get the videos in time. I do apologize for that. But here's the media poll this week. Doesn't change. It was the same as last week. Sharks, Cobras, Gunslingers, Predators, Warbirds, 1 through 5 is this week's media poll. And of course, is that shock to you, Phil? Not really, in my opinion.
No, I mean, this is one of those rare times that your media and coaches poll end up lining up. There hasn't been much to change anybody's opinion over the last week or so. It falls pretty well within the standings. And there's only 5 teams. I mean, when you add all those things together, I'm not surprised by any of that. That all makes sense to me.
All right. And of course, people want to know, what's the playoff bracket look like? Nothing surprising. Not really nothing changed. Nothing exciting. 4 is Predators and Jacksonville, as I just mentioned. They are locked, and the 2 and 3 are pretty much locked. It's just battle between positions on who gets what. But overall, like we've said in multiple shows, and what Phil has said on his show over the last couple of weeks, the battle between the home playoff games are pivotal, because the winner of those games is 13-2 all time at home. with the current active members in the league, it's 8-0. That is incredible winning percentage for the home team. But we've already heard a guarantee from a certain podcast in San Antonio that
Wait,
if Jacksonville wins this week, or Carolina wins, or no, Jacksonville wins this week,
right.
that San Antonio is guaranteed to make it to the championship game. Am I correct?
I heard another podcast, an NAL podcast, the Smoking Guns podcast. I heard one of their hosts, really ugly looking guy, a guy that has a better voice than face, and he doesn't have a really good voice. No, I did. I on my show guaranteed if Jacksonville gets the win this week and forces that game to San Antonio, based on everything I see and a little bit of my own fandom kind of mixed in there, because you know, you can't, completely divorce that sometimes. I believe San Antonio will surprise a lot of people and would win that playoff game and punch their ticket to the championship game. They don't have momentum on their side, but if you watch what they did 2 weeks ago against Carolina versus last week against Carolina, and it being back at home, Carolina having to travel, Carolina coming off a game against the best team in the league in Jacksonville, I just think a lot of things line up for San Antonio, and I'm a Gunslinger fan. So yeah, on my show, I'm not saying I'm doing that here, but on my show, because that is different somehow. I guaranteed if Jacksonville gets the win this week, San Antonio is going all the way to the championship game in Jacksonville.
Oh, in Jacksonville. But
Well, it's
again,
got to be in Jacksonville. I don't see Orlando stepping up and doing something really, really crazy,
of
and
course,
winning that 1-4. So,
and we've had to bring this up again to the people. This how the playoff system works. Higher seed hosted the game. So if the playoffs standings stay where they are right now, San Antonio would be the 3. So you have to be big fans of Orlando next week, and you have to win in Carolina to have the host that championship. The only way San Antonio can host is if that Orlando advances the same as you.
I will
Right
say
now.
this: in the first round of the playoffs, I expect all home team wins. If it is in San Antonio, I think San Antonio wins. If it's in Greensboro, I expect the Cobras to win. I expect all home team wins, and that's chalk because that's what the numbers bear out. But I don't expect anything different. I think the 2-3 matchup is dependent on where that game is played. I think either team, I think they're really a lot closer than people think they are, and so um, that is the factor that will kind of send it over the edge. They don't have to travel. They got the crowd behind them. All the things that being in your home field does for you.
Also, we know that home field advantage is so crucial in this sport, and there's another 1 seed from another league, best record in the league, they get ousted in the first round. So it can happen, and they had home field advantage, so there is a chance. So home field advantage in our sport is so crucial because your team doesn't travel. And we know how traveling is in this league and other leagues. It's not wine and dine like it is in the National Football League, where they get charter flights from basically the stadium to the stadium.
Right.
Some of these road trips are adventures in our level of football. So you're spending an extra day away from practice on travel. That's the benefit of home games in the playoffs. So that is next week. And that is going to be a crucial. Well, it is crucial because it's playoffs. The playoffs are crucial no matter what. Like we've seen, we watch playoffs in other sports, how dynamic, exciting, depending on what the event is, NBA, NHL, NFL. The playoffs, it gets ramped up a bit. And usually when rivals play in the playoff games, you have no idea what's going to happen. So even though Orlando's a 4 and Jacksonville's a 1, it's still Orlando. It's still the rivalry. Still a big question mark. I can't just oversee him. But you guys in San Antonio, you're very confident Jacksonville is going to walk away with the victory. For me, I'm still a little skeptical, because of the history between the two teams and the two organizations. It's just something you just can't count out a rival. Am I wrong about that? I don't think I am.
You're not. I mean, it's always a good way to go into any game, especially when you are the odds-on favorite, by saying, "Who knows? Anything
Hmm.
can happen," because anything can. Leo mentions here in the comments, weird things have happened. Weird things happen in playoff sports. Uh, and if you're a sports fan, you know that there is nothing more deflating than losing a playoff game. If your team was good enough to get into the playoffs, you
Hmm.
convince yourself as a fan that, like, we could go all the way. Even if you snuck in, you feel like, well, we could go all the way here. We've got it's 0-0 again. Like, all we have to do is win the game in front of us. And there's nothing as bad as losing a playoff game. It ends your whole season. It's all over. In the same way, winning a playoff game is not as exciting as it feels like because there's still the next round. You get
Correct.
this moment of, all right, we're going on to a tougher team. Yikes. It's not as exciting until you get to that championship game. You win that championship game, and then it is just elation.
Yeah.
Um,
And we saw that in other sports this year. We saw that happen to the Boston Bruins. We saw that happen to the Milwaukee Bucks. Top seeds in their respective league conferences get ousted in the first round by an 8
mhm.
seed. So it happens. And the league's not as big as those other leagues. So that you won't see that 1-8 matchup. So the 1-4 is our ordeal. But again, a lot of teams, there have been a lot of great teams, even in the NFL. I remember some good one seeds, home field advantage, and they get knocked out by a wild card team that caught on fire and got into the playoffs and just find a way to win back to back road games and knock off a one seed who just had to bye. So that's another thing that I want to like sway towards San Antonio. You have this week off. You know you're in the postseason next year or next week. Is that rest beneficial to San Antonio, or is it something for them to get more motivated because they know they have a guaranteed game next week? What's your thoughts about that?
I think having the bye week for San Antonio, I've liked it all year long. Looking at the schedule, seeing that week 17 open week was important all season long. But
Mhm.
given the situation they're in right now, they've lost 3 straight. They have kind of, gone into a tailspin.
Mhm.
Having a week off to just settle down and spend 2 weeks working on basics, working on the basic function of playing football, which seems to have gotten lost. And Leo mentions here, certainly beneficial with a brand new starting, not brand new. You can't call Robert Kent Jr. brand new
No.
anymore. That seal has been broken. But with a new guy, a different person calling signals, we get every indication that Robert Kent Jr. is the guy going forward. And Robert Kent Jr. has something to prove. This is his last season. He's made no bones about it in interviews. Every year up to this year, it's always been like, well, we'll have to talk to my wife. Well, we'll have to see. Well, I'd still feel like I've got something left. He's made it very clear that this is it. This is his final season. And so he's going to leave everything out there on the field. Well, he's also 42 years old. So having an extra week to rest that 42-year-old body and get ready for the playoffs is nothing
Mhm.
but good things for San Antonio. That's not true in all situations. Sometimes teams get a bye week and it's bad. It robs them of some sort of momentum. It throws off their rhythm. That's not always a good thing. In the Gunslinger's case, I think it's absolutely beneficial.
Well, and you get that covenant bye week where it's not really covenant, but like in the National Football League, your goal now, because how they expand the postseason, you want to get the one seed. You don't want to play in the wild card round. So you have somewhat of a bye week to get ready. So you get healthy and you need to get healthy and find a way to put 120 minutes of good solid football ahead of you to win a championship. Because you got
Right.
2 games left on the schedule, and that is the first round and possibly the championship game in that. So the postseason starts next week, ladies and gentlemen, and it's been, you can say, a long,
Ooh.
long season.
I think everybody in the NAL, from the commissioner all the way down to players, is like,
Mhm.
hey, that's been an experience. I'm ready to put that on the shelf and look at it in a couple of years and go, wow, that was wild. But with
Mhm.
Columbus and Albany and Fayetteville and all of the things that all of those words mean to us now. This has been a season that we don't want to. It won't be a banner year for the NAL. Let's just say it. It's not going to be the year that we put back to and go, wow, that was a lot of fun. It has not been a lot of fun. It has been a slog in a lot of ways.
It's a interesting season for sure. And to our listeners and to our fans, especially for your show and our show, thank you for coming on this roller coaster. We're down to 3 weeks in the regular, one more than regular season, 2 more weeks in the playoffs, and then we have the championship game. Possibly, it seems like all roads are pointing towards Jacksonville on August 12th for the championship game. I can't confirm the dates, but if Carolina hosts, I think it's on the same day on the 12th. And I think it's the same as San Antonio if they have the chance to. I think all 3 arenas are available. So August 12th, we'll get a lot of questions if that's the championship game. Yes, August 12th. Don't know about the times for the first round. I do know Jacksonville, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock against Orlando on August 5th. Have no idea about the other matchup yet because they don't know what venue they're going to be playing in.
Right.
They could be playing in Greensboro or they could be playing in Freeman and San Antonio. So they have no idea where they're playing at. So you can't really say what day and time are they kicking them. So if I'm betting, if it's in Greensboro, it's going to be on the same day and the same time as Jacksonville and Orlando. I hate to say it, but I think that's going to happen. If it's in San Antonio, expect an hour and a half after Jacksonville game. So 8:30 Eastern time, 7:30 Central would be your game if it's in San Antonio. So that's just me speculating. I don't know, but that's playoffs are August 5th, 6th, but championship game, if it's in Jacksonville, will be on August 12th, this 3 weeks from now. So NAL news, again, postseason's coming. You got any fan questions, send them as you be. Go ahead. But I've been hyping up this episode. A couple of fans have been acting how my intros are. Like some fans said, "Why are you using this music for your intro?" Because it's a live show. Because I want to get it, jazz, make it fiery, make it snappy. Because 3 weeks ago, there was other sites claiming that me and Zach would be out of the job by now.
Right.
You too, Phil. You'll be out of the job too.
Yeah, the league is we've heard doom and gloom all year long. Like every time something's gone wrong, wow, that's the end of the NAL.
Just in, ladies and gentlemen. Listen. Sources close to Inside the Walls podcast have indicated that the National Arena League is working on adding teams from the Northwest or Midwest. There's your nugget. Teams. Sources close to NWall's pod have indicated that the National Arena League is working on adding teams from the Midwest. There's your news nugget. That's why I've been hyping up the episodes for a couple days now. It's because of that. You can go on Twitter. It's on Twitter now. You go at NWall's pod. Go share it. Go ever. That is from sources that I trust. So the rumors and the buzz, yes, connect the dots if you may, but sources have indicated to us that stuff is happening, and they told me, go ahead, say it. But again, we don't know who. We don't know what teams. We just know that the NAL is working their butts off. So to the people who have DM'd me and Zach 3 weeks ago, laughing at us, saying that we're done, we're out of the job, good luck. Hi. Hashtag still here. Anyways, with that, let's get into week 17 games. I know it's anticlimactic, but yeah, I should have like fireworks shows. But send the questions in, ladies and gentlemen. Do it. I'm not going to answer a lot of them, but do it anyways. We love your interaction. And if you're watching on Smoking Guns feeds right now, come on, Smoking Gun Podcast listeners. Share the love. Come in here. Say some stuff. You're more than welcome to join the show, and Phil can pop up the messages as he can if he wants to. But overall,
Oh, I don't have the power to do that. You're the
You
only
don't?
one with the power to throw them up there, but
Good.
I don't have that power.
Yes. Yes. Everything I have foreseen. Okay, let's say, well,
At least I can see them this time. Last earlier in the week, I couldn't even see the comments. Now I can see them.
I think I could grant you that. Let me
You
see.
did? No, I
I
made
did.
sure you did.
I
Yeah,
did.
you said
Okay.
you
All
said,
right.
"Can you
Well,
come on the show again?" And I said, "Only if I can see the comments." And you
um,
made it happen.
let me we can see the comments. I have the power. Yes. Anyways, let's get into week 17 action. Let's head out west to Odessa, where oil is the thing and warbirds are flying, and you got the Predators from Orlando arriving.
They
Orlando
they
basically is the only
they
team, in my opinion, that is playing for something. But West Texas eliminated. They're 2-11 in the season. One thing that West Texas can do is get Weber a chance to go after the record,
Mhm.
trying to kick mean deuces in a game. He already has a record for deuces in the season. Um, I think he's a front runner to be the kicker of the year. I think
Yes.
Trayvon Schwartz is a front runner to be Ironman of the year, in my
Yes.
opinion. There are players on that West Texas team that deserve recognition, even though the record doesn't show how talented they are. And Orlando, again, full of all-star talent team of players that have won championships in this league.
Mhm.
Now they're heading out west. My Sharks have made that journey twice this year. I've heard from players about the journey out there, and they've told me some interesting things. I do know that apparently Odessa has good street tacos. I had the two different defensive linemen and offensive lineman players for Jacksonville Sharks. One of them has his own cooking show, so that should narrow down who. It says Odessa has pretty good street tacos, but I think that may be the thing in Texas. Again, I'm from Florida, where we think Taco Bell is real Mexican. Just saying, but I just offended a lot of people in Florida. My bad. Apparently
You
that's just
just offended a lot of people in Texas, I'll tell you that. Like Taco
well,
Bell is Taco Bell, but it ain't Mexican food.
well, I
Don't
know
do
it ain't
that.
Mexican.
Don't do that.
Um, but when you're running on cheap, Taco Bell is the way to go sometimes. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
No, no.
non-sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Orlando Predators are going to Odessa. The first time these two teams matched up earlier in this year. It was before Orlando really got everything going on there. They were still going through the quarterbacks of Legri and Hess. That's before Jonathan Bain ever got to the team itself. But now you saw the transactions. Danny Southwick's no longer with the Orlando Predators. Now they're back to Joseph Hess. Cato's still on roster, so there could be still some switching. But a team like Orlando that has so many talented players, some MVPs on that team, some defensive players of the year on that team. One of them, I think, can get in there, and that's a Freddie Buffloyd, who I think could compete for defensive player of the year slash offensive line. I think he's just a defensive specialist. I could be wrong. If there's any Orlando fans here, please relate. See if Freddie Buffloyd just a defensive specialist, or if Ralph's here. I know Ralph's here. He'll send us a message to confirm that.
Right.
But this game, when you're looking at a game like this, one team's going to playoffs, the other team season's over. Orlando at 4-7. It's not what you like to call a great banner of a year. This is a get right game, in my opinion, for Orlando to get momentum on your side, because you're going to have to come back to Jacksonville next week to a hostile environment that has been waiting for you to come back because of certain comments were made. That's a lot. That's the sound. That's what I'm getting from fans in Jacksonville. So it's going to be very feisty next week. But this is West Texas week. And I know there is going to be conversation about these teams and their future. We're not getting into that. We're going to talk about this game on Saturday night. Philip, in your question, who needs to have a big game for West Texas to end the season on the high note? And no, don't say Top Gunner. He can't play.
Top Gunner might be the best thing. Top Gunner and Didier Weber might be the best thing about West Texas. Look, I think you see a lot There you go. Ralph Judkins confirming that Freddie Boothaloid is a defensive line specialist. So, West Texas showed you a lot last week. I feel like they showed you that they packed it in. That they are done with this season. And of course, we could talk about maybe the reason for that is because of some of these things that they think are happening in the future and all that. It doesn't matter. What matters is they didn't show up to play in Jacksonville. And I don't imagine that they're going to show up and do much more than that against Orlando. It's going to be a closer game because Orlando is not Jacksonville. But that is not going to be because the Warbirds come out to play. Who needs to have a big game for the Warbirds to win this game? Everybody. Everybody needs to come out and play like it's their Super Bowl. Because this is it. This is your last opportunity to put film on, put yourself on some film for some other things next season. This is it. And if they all come out and play their best and play good unified football, which is not something we saw from them last week, then maybe they'll have a fighting chance. But I don't, based on what I saw last week, I saw a team that's done with this season. That's just kind of going through the motions. And that's going to lead to an Orlando win. I don't have any doubt.
All right. So there's also another question. Does Weber tie or break the record this week for deuces? Or
No.
over under or below it? Below it? Yeah. Okay.
Below it. Yeah.
I don't
Because you
know
have to be scoring a lot to have a lot of opportunities to kick deuces. You get you get one automatic deuce opportunity. Past that, you have to be scoring points to get deuce opportunities. And I don't see that they're going to be scoring a whole lot of points. He's not going to go for 5 on deuce opportunities. Well, that means they have to score over 28 points. I think they'll do that, but no, he's not gonna tie the record or go over the record. It'll be under.
Okay, how about this? If you're a betting man, Darius Prince, 5 touchdown receptions, Weber, 4 deuces.
I could be under on both of those. And I'm not taking anything away from Darius Prince, but they've got lots of good, solid weapons there in Orlando. And I'm not sure what they're doing at quarterback, and I'm not sure they're sure what they're doing at quarterback. It's rough to get into your final game of the season, going into the playoffs, and still not be sure about who you're putting behind center. And that's where Orlando is right now. They don't know if it's going to be Hess or Cato. They know it's not going to be Southwick. But remember, 3 weeks ago, Danny Southwick was the answer for the Orlando Predators. So I don't think they're really sure what they're doing at quarterback. And so that's going to hurt them on scoring. Plus, there's a lot of weapons there. So I'm not taking anything away from Darius Prince. He is a former MVP for a reason. And we certainly saw him take over in that game against San Antonio. And score 3 touchdowns in the first quarter of that game, but I don't think he'll be over 5. So I would come in under that. And then again, Didio Weber, I love him, but 4 deuces is a lot to expect from a team that just looks lackluster right now.
So who do you think needs to have a breakout game for Orlando to win?
Whoever they put at quarterback. And this is all tune-up. You mentioned it earlier. This is all a tune-up game for Jacksonville. They need to guess correctly between Hess and Cato and get a good, solid game under somebody's belt at quarterback to feel confident going into Jacksonville at the beginning of the playoffs. And so whoever they put at quarterback has to have just the game of their life for them to feel really good about going out to Jacksonville. So I don't know if that'll be Hess or Cato, but whoever it is, whichever guy lines up at quarterback, that guy's got to have the game of the season. And both of them have potential to have those kind of games. So that's not outside the realm of possibility.
I think it comes down to, again, the quarterbacks, like you said. And we've watched Orlando all year. The inconsistency at the quarterback position. It looked like it was there. It was stable when Bain got there. Then when Bain went down with that injury, then it was a carousel right now of quarterbacks. And it's always been in this game, in the arena football, you have to have a quarterback to win football games. And you have to have a good quarterback to win football games. It's this game is so fast where if you're still learning this game, this is the wrong time of the year to be playing quarterback in arena football because a lot of these teams are battling for position in the playoffs. Orlando already knows their position. So you could say this is like a preseason game from them, even though it's week 17 of the year. For them, it's the quarterback. And also, I'm not going to go, well, Nick Hague has a big game, or Jenkins needs to have a big game, or Hollis needs to have a big. They're going to have their guys do their things. The issue is what we've seen from Orlando the last couple of weeks is the offensive line play and the quarterback play have been very lackluster to a point where teams are abusing them up front and having their way at the quarterback. They can fix that just a little bit and trying to say not really hold on against Jacksonville, but be somewhere where in the fourth quarter there's some pressure on Jacksonville where if Sam does do something that he rarely does, throw an interception, which is he only started to do this year, and your offense is still scoring points, I think Orlando is in great position. Like what you said earlier, this game right here is that tune-up game for Orlando. Basically, find a way who's going to be the quarterback you're going to have to go into the playoffs because this game you have it tomorrow. You got one game. You make that first round playoff game against Jacksonville your tune-up game. You may not have the next day because your season will be over. And I agree with what you say about this. They have to find out who's their quarterback tonight or tomorrow night. Excuse me.
How important is quarterback play in this league? Look across the top of your screen right now, from left to right. All the way to the left in the fifth position has not been able to figure out the quarterback position all year.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando also has struggled at figuring out the quarterback position all year. San Antonio had a big question mark that popped up in the middle of the year or near the end of the year and has had to make a change. Carolina, no question marks all year long. And I would even say Jacksonville has gotten better at that position as the year's gone on, going from Connor over to Sam, and then Sam just getting better throughout the year. How important is the quarterback position in this league? We'll look across the standings right now, and you'll see how important the quarterback position is.
Yeah. And usually, like in arena football, you ride and die with your quarterback. Look at all the great arena football teams in its 35 years of existence. The great ones are usually a part of the great teams. Now there'd be rarity where you'll have a great arena quarterback in a team that doesn't do too well. We've seen them in the past. Aaron Garcia has played on a bunch of teams when his career that were a 4 or a 5 seed and they didn't get out of the first round of playoffs. But that guy has the record for most touchdown passes, most yardage of a quarterback ever. He's in the Hall of Fame. So you have those moments, but you ride and die with your quarterback. And of course, when you look at this league between Jacksonville, Carolina, Malik Henry, Sam Castronova have been putting up the numbers this season, credible numbers. Malik Henry had a 10 touchdown game.
Yeah.
Which is incredible to do. Sam has a touchdown to interception ratio like 48-2 or something like that. It's like you look at those stats and go, wow, that's it's almost unhuman like. Like no, you can't be like that playing arena football. You have to. That's Sam this year.
Yeah.
But you look at San Antonio, Arvell had a hell of a first half of the year.
He did.
And then something happened, don't know, and it just started getting the mucky. Then Robert Kent is in. And that's what you look at. And the thing is that San Antonio's still 8-4. It's not like they're 500 or below 500. They're 8-4. So they had a stretch there where they were the top dog and got through some games. But as the season progressed, I feel like a lot of the opponents, English, figured out Arvell. And in this game, and especially in a lot of other college games or NFL games, adjustments are huge in this sport. I just feel like the opposing teams made a lot more adjustments against Arvell Nelson than Arvell did against opposing teams. And
Fair.
that's my opinion. But Arvell's still a good dude. I've talked to him before. We had him on the show. Genuine. It's a business. And he might play 2 weeks from now. You don't know. He's still a weapon. And when Arvell is hot and he's on the money, he's one of the best arena football quarterbacks I ever see play this game. That's Arvell Nelson. Same as Robert Kent. Robert Kent's been around a long time. I think Robert Kent's been around as long as I've watched arena football. That's how long he's been in the business. But again, for Orlando and West Texas, it's not really a meaningless game. In West Texas, military appreciation. I know they're having some flag football game after between the fire department and the police officers. So they're doing some special events in West Texas. So if you're in West Texas, call your local office, go on the website, buy some tickets, go out there and have some fun. Final arena football game of the season. Hector Coliseum. Go enjoy some. If it's your first time going, go enjoy it. You'll get hooked and you'll be back next season, especially for this game. Arena football is such a fun sport. And for Orlando, get the dub. Get ready. Yeah. The real season begins for you next week. But like a lot of our shows, we do predictions at the end of the year, or end of the game, or end of the year, end of the game. Jesus, I am way off today. At the end of the episode, there we go. Yes,
there you go.
Yes. Give Jim another shot. At the end of the episode, not going to do that. I'm just going to do that right here. Phil, who you have winning this game, and who? Let's say the score. Who you think is going to win? Yeah,
Orlando. I think Orlando is going to win this game. I just believe that West Texas is done. I think they packed it in, and even in front of their own fans, I think they will put up just a token effort and be looking toward salvaging next season and making next season into something. I don't expect much from West Texas. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to see a good, solid football game, but I just don't see it. I think they packed it in.
I'm picking Orlando here, and I think Orlando is going to get their get-right game. They're going to be focused as they head into Jacksonville next week. I do think they'll find who their starting quarterback is, and we'll have next week in Jacksonville for the first-round playoff games, where tickets are on sale now in Jacksonville, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Playoff tickets are on sale now at jacksharks.com. It's going to be Fan Appreciation Day, so go fill up the Shark Tank next week for the National Arena League playoffs. Speaking of the Sharks, Phil's favorite team this week is the Jacksonville Sharks traveling to the Greensboro Coliseum to take on the Carolina Cobras. And as we mentioned before earlier in the show and earlier in the week, Carolina clinches the number 2 seed with a win. San Antonio will clinch the 2 seed with a Carolina loss. How big is that loss? By 0.012 percentile would be the difference of...
Yes, that sounds right.
I think it's 666 is currently Carolina. It's like 642, and you need Carolina to get that 642 for you guys to jump ahead.
It is a math quirk. Carolina has gotten to play 2 more games than San Antonio. They won 1, and in this sort of scenario, they would have won 1 and lost 1. But right now, they've won 1 more. So what that does is drops their win percentage. Right now, they are above San Antonio by a fraction, by a hundredth of a point or so, by in the hundredths of points. A loss will drop them hundreds of points below San Antonio in just a math quirk. Look, it's no secret. I don't like the fact that we started this season with uneven games, but then with everything that's happened this season, that has become more uneven for some places. I see Zach Brown on here saying they cheating us on seeding. It's just math. It's a quirk of math. It's not anybody doing anything specific to cheat anybody. It's just a matter of math and the math on the win percentage. If Jacksonville wins this game, will drop the Cobras below the Gunslingers, and the Gunslingers will host the game.
The question is this, and I know a lot of San Antonio fans want to hear, Jim, what's your opinion about Jacksonville, how they're going to approach this game? It's the final week of the season. You're going to hear coaches talks like, I'm going to coach a play. We're going to coach and win this game. Coaches wins game. If I, Jim Bernier, was the head coach of the Jacksonville Sharks, 3 players would not see the field for me. Sam Castronova, Cam Solomon, and yeah, I'm going to show him some love too in this game, and that's Tamori and Terry. They won't see the field because they are the most dynamic players on the team. I may give the old man Snoop Marvin Ross some time off, probably, but that's me as a coach. Again, Jacksonville has nothing to lose here. They lose this game, oh well, what? They're home next week, and if they win them next week, they're home for the championship game. So Jacksonville has nothing to lose. So if I was a coach, I would not be starting my key guys. Treat this. I know Gibson may listen to this. He may laugh, but treat this like week 3 of the NFL preseason, where your starters play one possession. That's it. Get them off. Get a bunch of the other guys and rookie guys in to play. But for me, if I was a coach, my boy's not starting. Sam's on the bench. He's going to hold a helmet. He's going to wear it and let it be Eddie Brill time, or in the words of Skylar here, Eddie Money. Let him lead the Sharks to a victory. And you can do that. Play like that. But overall, for Carolina, if I was Carolina, I don't care who is starting at quarterback. I don't care who is starting. Go out there and get the win, secure the win, and get a home playoff game. You have control your own destiny. You win, you're the 2 seed, no matter what. And you're hosting San Antonio, a team that you played twice over the last 3 weeks, so you're very familiar with them. For Jacksonville, here are the keys for the Jacksonville Sharks. Stay healthy, get hydrated, stay healthy, go home. Stay healthy. Like, even though Jacksonville is the number 1 seed, you do not want to put players out there at risk who are big key contributors of the season to go down with an injury which they could have avoided. We have seen many times in other sports, teams leave their stars in on games that are complete blowouts, or the playoff positionings are already clinched, or whatever sport. They leave their starter in there, and there goes a knee, there goes an ankle, there goes a hamstring, and they're done for the year, and it ruins a team postseason. If I'm Jacksonville, play extremely safe in this game. Don't play anybody. That's if I was a coach. But knowing Gibson and knowing how he coaches, I expect 2, 3, maybe 4 possessions with Nova and the full team. Then you're going to see a lot of the backups come in. But for Jacksonville, what is there for them to do in this game? Honestly, for me,
momentum.
Maintain, but you want to stay healthy at the same time. You don't want to risk injuring your players. Like we've seen what happened to number 1 seeds with home field advantage recently in other leagues. How fast that went away in one game.
Yeah, but that wasn't because of injury.
No, that's because they were getting kind of complacent because they thought we're home, we're not going to lose at home, and what happened? They lost at home.
So. Here's what I see for Jacksonville. I think they've got to play this game to win. Even though there's not a lot on the line here, they are in sync. They are feeling it right now. They are working on every level. The only team right now that can beat the Jacksonville Sharks is the Jacksonville Sharks. And that's just truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is just true. They're the only team that can beat them. And I think Gibson understands that. And in his 19-year coaching career, he hasn't been this close to a championship team, and he's not going to take a chance with that. Now, you say, what's taking a bigger chance? A chance on injury or a chance of losing momentum?
Mm-hmm.
I really think this momentum thing has something to be. There's something to be said. We're feeling it. We're in sync. We're going to go out there and play the game like we play the game. I'm not giving anybody a reason to get out of the rhythm of winning. And I truly believe the other side of that is on a very real, in a very real perspective. If I'm Jacksonville, who do I want right now, looking at the landscape of things, to come play me in Jacksonville for the championship game? Do I want Carolina or San Antonio? I want San Antonio. San Antonio doesn't look near as good as Carolina does. So why would I make Carolina's road any easier by giving them a home game in the first round? I want them to have to come through San Antonio to come to Jacksonville to face me. I want to give them the toughest road. And if they can't complete that and they send San Antonio up to Jacksonville because they can't get through San Antonio on that third try, then I get San Antonio, a team that's lost 3 straight games and won a playoff game. I'll take my chances with that. I think Jacksonville has a lot to play for here. Not numbers, not stats, not wins and losses, but when they look at what's going to give us the best opportunity to win a championship, it's winning this game. It's still there.
That's what made me laugh.
Coach may not play DB this week. That's Coach Jason Gibson, 9th man of the year.
But one thing I look at this game, Carolina, this year's Carolina, Zach Brown's in the chat. He wants all the smoke. Again, I think he's an NAL first teamer this year. The guy's been dynamic all season. Carolina, we seen like you mentioned on your show. I think we mentioned it on art when Zach was here last week, or even when we had Ralph on last week, where San Antonio was a carbon copy of Carolina from last year. Started out of the gate on fire, 1 seed, and as the season progressed, lost the seeding, and then they became the 2 seed, and then they had to travel to Albany, which was the crucial point.
Right.
Carolina this year is the opposite. Started the season kind of sluggish, up and down, and now they got that winning streak, and now they're finishing the season off strong, and now they have their destiny controlled with a win, and they're home for the postseason number of the 2nd seed, and would potentially, if there's an upset in Jacksonville, a chance to host a championship game against Orlando potentially. I look at this game and I see 2 of the best quarterbacks in this league right now playing their best. I don't know. I do know. They're playing the best because they both lead the league in passing yards. They both lead the league in passing percentage. One leads the league in, I think, touchdowns, passes. I think that's Malik Henry. No, that's Nova. Malik Henry is like 2 behind Nova. So these guys are 1 and 2 in the categories in almost every single category. But it's not going to be on what quarterback, because I think one of these quarterbacks is not going to play the entire game. Malik, I think, is going to play the entire game. So I think it's going to come down to key players or key assets. Lance Evans, and Adam Smith, Zach Brown, Vols versus... You look on the other side, Jensen Stoshak, maybe Tamorian, Devin Wilson, Cam Solomon. I don't expect him to play a lot either. But you look at these 2 games. For Jacksonville, do you really want to show what you have against Carolina because you might potentially play them in 2 weeks in Jacksonville? Or will you just want to get a couple reps in? Hopefully no one gets hurt. No. Feed off the crowd, get your hit in or whatever. I don't know how players. Well, if I was I used to be one, but not anymore. How are you going to treat it? How are you going to treat this game? Penalties, momentum, turnovers. Where is the line going to be drawn before either Jacksonville or Carolina, or Jacksonville goes, okay, that's it, I'm taking my guys out?
Again,
is it early?
Momentum. Why not establish dominance? We came into your building the last week of the season and beat you there when we didn't even have anything to play for. Now you're going to come to us in our building for the championship and you think you got a shot?
No.
Again, I just see so much here. I don't know Jason Gibson. I've watched him coach, and he does not strike me as a guy who's afraid of injuries. He's seen a pile of injuries this year, and his team has still responded. I don't think he's afraid of injury, but I think he understands how much momentum means and how much establishing dominance means. I do not expect he left Sam Castronova in this game against West Texas a lot longer than I thought was prudent. I don't see a coach here that's like, I'm afraid I'm going to get Sam injured, so I don't care whether I win or lose this game. I don't care about momentum. I don't care about establishing dominance. I'm afraid for Sam, and I'm going to whip him out of there. I just don't see that. I could be wrong.
There also is a player on Jacksonville who was a top free agent pickup early in the offseason. He made NAL second team, and when he played at Columbus, Darian Townsend. That guy's explosive. He made himself well known last week in his return. 3 touchdowns. Now you have Townsend, Wilson, Terry, Stoshak, and then you have Markel Wade, who just came back from being on the injured list. So you get 5 solid players there. A couple of them play both ways. But you're telling me that Townsend, who is a dynamic receiver who basically was introduced to the NAL last year when he played for Columbus, how dynamic he was. And he went down early in West Texas week 1. And then now he came back against West Texas in week 16. And you go, wow, I forget Townsend does have that type of talent. I expect players like him, Devin Wilson, to get a lot of playing time because they both miss a lot of the season.
Yes.
Devin Wilson is 3 touchdowns away from 100 receptions for touchdowns in the NAL in his career. So that's a milestone for him. He's only 3 away. Townsend, this is his second game, so you know he's going to play the entire game. So there's going to be some unique things happen in this game. But one thing I want to say, how we did the last game, Phil. Who is the key player in your opinion for Carolina to go off for them to? I know I maybe play the little devil's advocate here for them to win the game against Jacksonville.
Who has to have an incredible game? I mean, the guy that can take over a game, and I know he's here, and I'm not just pandering to the guy that's talking right now. Zach Brown can take over a game. The one-man band is a guy. I stood in San Antonio's end zone at the beginning of the game last week, and Zach Brown came over and was talking to us, the podcast crew. I don't know if he realized that's who he was talking to, but he said, it's going to be even different. It's going to be different this week. We're still going to win, and it's going to be different. And he was absolutely right. Zach Brown knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And if he is a big part of the game, that is going to lend itself well. Malik Henry is going to do what he's going to do either way. He's going to play, and he's going to make a difference. If Zach Brown also makes a difference and you have both of those players in a difference-making kind of pantheon in this game, Jacksonville may try their hardest and still lose. Carolina is probably the only team right now that looks strong enough to beat Jacksonville.
I have to agree. That's a shocker right now?
No, I don't think so.
As a Shark fan, I look and go, I like to play San Antonio. Carolina does scare me a little bit, but yeah,
For sure.
I agree. For me, the key player for San Antonio, or mentioned San Antonio, for Carolina is the man himself. The guy's, I think the streaks now, I think he did a kickoff return. Did he kick one back last week in Adam Smith? If not, his streaks of
don't think he got one back in San Antonio.
So it ended at 6. Man. So yeah, I think Adam Smith is the guy that goes off, but also there's a certain wide receiver for Carolina that wants to get some revenge, and Lance Evans. So I think that would be another key guy for Carolina to go off. I'm not going to say Zach Brown because we mentioned him too many times on the show. I think he's the mascot of this show. Ain't that right, Zach Brown? Because I know you're on the show listening. He listens to us all the time in comments. I really appreciate it, man. But yeah, I can't say Zach Brown with every episode. I have to name other players, man. I do apologize. I think overall, I think it's Adam Smith and Lance Evans. But on the defensive side of the ball, Veal. he is a vet that can turn the game, or Green. Him and Veal, those two DBs, they could change a game right around. And if those guys are having their top-notch games, that means either Sam or Eddie Brill are having difficult games. But I still think those are the four guys. But my main focus is Adam Smith, because he's the type of guy that can change a game instantly by his speed, his route running, and his ability to return the kickoff every time someone kicks the ball. In Jacksonville, if you haven't noticed, we don't kick a lot of deuces in Jacksonville. So there'll be chances of some great returns for Adam Smith. But for Jacksonville, I already told you my keys. I'm not going to say, Jim, what's the key player that you need to happen for the Jacksonville Sharks to win? Oh, health, 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 health. Starting at quarterback, keep healthy. Starting at wide receiver, keep healthy. Starting at DB, keep healthy. Just stay healthy. That's Jacksonville keys of the game. Stay healthy. You got one game left. The real season starts next week. You need to be 100% when Orlando comes next week. But for this game, if Eddie Brill gets in, we saw a little bit of it in week 4 this year, and he threw 7 touchdowns for his first game ever. Let's see what he does when he gets in the game, because he is. Eventually he's going to get the game, because if this game gets out of hand early, I see people getting taken out. If this game is halfway through the second quarter and you could tell both teams, the Jacksonville got good 2 or 3 good possessions, they're taking the guys out. They're not going to risk injury. So I think if Eddie Brill's out there, with the words of Skylar Lane here, Eddie Money is throwing dimes, then let's see how he does. He believes in Eddie Brill, and that would be my key player for Jacksonville, besides staying healthy. What about you, Phil?
The most important person for Jacksonville squad that can make the difference in them winning or losing, made a huge difference the last time these two teams met. It's Coach Jason Gibson. If he's allowed to play defense like he was in that last game, it might be over. Having that 9th man on defense is really, really helpful. I know Sharks fans are fixing to come on and go, he was just protecting himself. I've seen the video. I've seen it in slow motion. No. No, that's not what happened. And stop trying to convince yourself of that. It's just not.
Hey, wait a second.
How dare you?
But honestly, like, Jason Gibson is the key to this game. How he decides to play this game will determine whether the Sharks win or lose. If he leaves his guys out there, then yeah, I think Jacksonville still wins this game. If he pulls his guys early or doesn't even start some of his guys, then Carolina has the opportunity to really go into the playoffs on a very strong note. They beat San Antonio, the team they're going to play first twice, and then they beat Jacksonville to finish the season. There's no better way to feel good about yourself going into the playoffs than to beat the teams you're going to see in the playoffs recently. So it all comes down to Jason Gibson. Like, the players themselves, yeah, but Jason Gibson and the decisions he makes is going to make the difference between Jacksonville winning and losing this game. And if he's allowed to play defense like he was in that last game, it adds to his value. It adds to his value for the franchise to be that extra defender on the sidelines like that.
You know what? I got to do this.
You just made the list.
You're done. You're not going to be on this episode anymore. You're just stabbing me with a little knife there, Phil. But
call it like I see it, and I'm not letting it go. Even if the NAL did, I'm not letting it go.
I love the back and forth between you and Leo right now. He says something, you're basically answering Leo while you guys are talking. That's pretty cool. But
we've known each other for a long time, so yeah.
It sounds like you guys do a show somewhere. I can't put my finger on it where you guys do this show at. Apparently it's ranked number 1.
Number 1 in Arena League podcasts.
Some random website, you're number 1. But we already did that. Prediction time for this game. Who you got?
Jacksonville.
Shocker. Shock.
That's what I want. Zach Brown, I know you're mad at me right now. I know you're cussing at me as you type something into your keyboard. I want Jacksonville to win because I want another home game for San Antonio. I want to be in the arena for a playoff game, and that's not going to happen if it goes to Greensboro. So yes, there's a reason I'm wearing a Sharks hat tonight, and it's not just because I own a Jackson. This is not a Jacksonville Sharks hat. I need to make that clear. The town I live in Texas is on the coast in Palacios, spelled Palacios, but it's Palacios, and we are the Sharks. Black and red, same thing. So I've got a team for our high school here, a hat for our high school team here that I'm wearing. But yeah, I want the Sharks to win. That's the best thing for my team is the Sharks to win.
So I am picking the Carolina Cobras.
Are you?
Because I think Carolina is. I think Jacksonville is going to rest a lot of people. I just do. I don't think they're going to put anybody in risk to lose for the playoffs because they have bigger goals than this Week 17 matchup in Carolina. They know they play in Orlando in next week, and they want to be 100% for Orlando and possibly hosting the championship game, which is very covenant in our league, where the home team at the championship game has never lost a championship game. And we have former Carolina Cobras head coach Joshua Resinalo saying that Orlando's going to get the W. I guarantee he thinks his boys are going to win this week in Carolina as well over San Antonio. So, but again, for the San Antonio faithful there, I know you really, really want to watch the Sharks win the game. So why not come join in Walls Pod tomorrow? We're doing a watch party in our Discord page for this game. Come join the family and friends. Come join me. We'll be watching it on YouTube. This is not live stream. It's basically on Discord chat. You click on the big room. It's going to access everyone. It's going to be watch the Cobras and Sharks and chat and talk about football. That's the watch party tomorrow. The link the link's not in our description. Let me go get the link and put it in the chat so you know where to go for this. Is tomorrow. We'll be on the air about roughly, I don't know, Phil. How long do we usually go before the games kick off? Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
10, 15, yeah.
But you can join us, or
you
can join our Discord. Right now, the link is in the chat. Join our Discord, and you can get some league nuggets from that usually come from reliable NAL sources that cover nothing but the National Marine League. And also, you'll see some recognizable people in there. Ducon Williams, who had a great interview this past weekend. I recommend you guys to go watch that interview because there's a couple things that that Ducon, the person he interviewed, said that I've been preaching for weeks now about a certain organization, and it just confirmed what I've been telling Phil, what I've been telling Ralph, what I've been telling everyone in the Discord. And people say, Jim, you don't know what you're talking about. I get vindicated in that interview. Great interview, Ducon Williams with the Arena Football Statement. The dude does some great work. I think it's Chris for Sam Shady's network who does the Carolina Cobra show. I know he's doing a show I think tomorrow morning before the game. So get your Cobras itch coach's show. I think he's getting Coach Fuller, Naquan Murray. I think maybe Coach Brandon tomorrow. So watch that. But Ducon Williams, Arena Football Statement. Go watch his interview. Me and Philip and a couple other individuals in that Discord have watched that. A lot of intriguing information in that YouTube clip. It will answer a lot of stuff that you have questions about. He does call a certain identity the great 3-letter word NGL. Puts a smile on my face. Great stuff, Leo. I don't know what you're talking. Oh, Scream from the Mountain. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, the information that you put out there gets you hear from other folks that are in the industry that exactly what Jim has been saying for a while. If you thought Jim was out here just screaming to hear himself and hear his own voice, you get to hear it from somewhere else, from somebody who actually has skin in the game. If you're a fan of the NAL and you like to connect the dots, there are lots of dots in that interview. You might like the picture that they start to make. That's about all I'm going to say about it, but go check it out. It is a solid interview that will give you lots of solid, even if it doesn't work out to benefit the National Arena League, there is good information there that will give you an insight behind the screens, behind the scenes of indoor football, of arena football, whatever you want to call it. You will see some inner working things that you were like, huh, I didn't realize that this is necessarily how this all worked. You get a good taste of that through that interview.
Our Discord is popping off right now. I just hear ding, ding, ding in the background. I don't want to look at it. But this is the time of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. We are wrapping it up. We get 10 to 15 minutes. Send your questions. Send your observations. Send my way. I know you guys are anxious because you guys blow up Discord. I know you're always asking about, Jim, when's the news going to hit? What's going to happen? Tell me what's going on. And I really can't because sometimes I really don't know. I'm not those type of websites who report something, then delete our name, then change our name and act like we're a different identity. I don't do that stuff. Not going to point names at, but you know who I'm talking about. If you don't have any questions and observations or anything, go what?
Go Conquest. Not the old Albany arena team there, the Conquest.
I think that was an old team, AF2 back in the day. Poor yeah. That's gonna. That's one thing about Skyler. I sat with him in a lot of Shark games. He knows how to, poke someone in the side with that knife. He knows how to poke it, twist it, pull it out, and go, "Oh, what's this?" Stab you again. He knows how to really ruffle the feathers to many organizations. But one thing I do have to give credit about Skyler, he does great work for the power rankings that pop up on the NAL fan page. Some of them are kind of antic, but I look forward to it each week. So I want to say good job doing that, Skyler. And he does a lot of the NAL fan pages voting for all the players of the year or player of the weeks, Ironman of the week. So he does a lot of stuff that contributes in small forms to the NAL. So Skyler, I want to say you do a good job doing that. But your antics sometimes are going after.
I know Orlando did not like some of the PA announcement stuff. We're Jacksonville a few weeks back. I know that also that West Texas had a big problem with San Antonio and the battery powered air horns. Man, if that's the kind of stuff that you're going to blame on your loss or your team not playing well, you're right at the level you belong at. Maybe this is the highest you should ever dream about going in professional sports, because you have to tune out so much beyond this level, in this level and beyond this level. You can't blame air-powered, battery-powered air horns for your team's poor performance anywhere else in the world and not get laughed at.
Mm-hmm.
And so you should really get laughed at here. You can't go on your show on Monday morning and gripe about the PA announcer. Like, I get it. They were mean to us. Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And nobody cares on the higher levels. And so maybe we should start as fans absolutely laughing these people into the dust when they come up with these awful, blaming other people for losses or their team's poor performance. Your team's poor performance is on your team. One of the things that I've been very clear on all the way through July, as the San Antonio Gunslingers went 0-3 through July, is what San Antonio did that contributed to that loss. It wasn't anything in Greensboro. It wasn't anything in Orlando. It wasn't anything the officials did. It wasn't anything in San Antonio at home. And there were even some things in our own building that we could point to and go, this didn't help. Well, it didn't help, but it didn't mean that we lost based on it. If you're one of those fans that's griping about PA announcers and battery powered air horns and officials, stop it. Stop it. Your team needs to play better through all of that kind of stuff. Everybody has something like that every week. Play better. Don't
And
don't even do
also,
that.
and also sometimes the PA announcer is part of the physique of an organization. Certain teams, that's you have the voice of the voices in these buildings. Like you look at the Yankees, you know who the voice of the Yankees are, who he is. Even though he doesn't know sometimes the player is at the bat, but we know he knows the team. Orlando has their guy, Eric, great dude. He does his little antics in the arena. He does little one, same as Josh or Jackson Jacksonville. And San Antonio has a famous guy. He was very well known last year in the league. Started off with whose house?
Whose house?
Our house. I don't know what West Texas was this year, but every
Top
team has
Gunner and
this.
some of his stuff. It's but it's all meant in fun. Lisa mentioned something here. I don't think anybody's blaming poor performance from the announcer. However, as long as I've been going to games, I've never heard an announcer throwing out that many jabs. Fine. The announcer is throwing jabs at a team. Make him eat his own words. I will point you back to San Antonio and Carolina last week when the San Antonio PA announcer started calling Lance Evans Butterfingers. He dropped the very first pass thrown his direction, and Chris Duell, our PA announcer, decided to start calling him Butterfingers. And by the end of the game, Lance Evans was pissed off and made sure his play pointed out who Butterfingers was or who wasn't Butterfingers. And when he caught his last touchdown pass, he looked right up at the PA announcer and pointed at him. Don't come in here. If they're jabbing at your team, that should just give you more motivation. It really should. It should just give you more motivation.
See, that's the type of stuff I want to talk about. That should be the issue of the sport is
Right.
PA announcers, and that's it. We don't have to worry about anything else. It's just the PA announcers and the fans bickering. But only right, like we didn't touch on this last week because of how last week went. But the reason why it's so evident in Jacksonville right now is because the rivalry between Jacksonville, both organizations don't like each other. And sometimes it does occur when a team is 11-22 against another. So the only thing you can go to is point at their announcer or their fans, even though the overall record doesn't side in their favor. But I've been down to Amway on some of those bad years Jacksonville's had and been in the jungle when it's slam packed. And I've been around some hostile Orlando fans. Each fan base has those group of individuals. No matter what sport, it could be NBA, NHL, MLB, especially the Yankees and Boston rivalry and baseball. Geez, there's some hostile fans on both sides of that. Hostile fans between Florida and Florida State, hostile fans against Texas, Oklahoma, hostile fans against Ohio State, Michigan. You're going to find those good fans that they just love. That they're there for the sport. They love the camaraderie. They love the football. You're going to have those group, but you're going to get most of the fans that despise you. They don't like you and they don't care who you are because of what color you're wearing. That's why I think it's happened between Jackson and Orlando is because it's a rivalry. The little things now are starting to intensify because one side of the rivalry is not showing up to the rivalry. Like in the words of I forgot who it was who said, I think it was John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh said this a couple of years ago. They were talking about the rivalry between I think it was Wisconsin, and he's like, well, they have to win a game to be considered a rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Like Michigan's like on a ridiculous win streak, and I think that was Jim Harbaugh, maybe John, maybe getting the wrong. I don't know who the heck is the coach in Michigan. Is that Jim? There's too many Harbaughs in the dang sport. Jim. Okay, so I got it right. But
Cheeseburger Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, that's him.
Who's been it for 4 games, but it's a different thing. But there is expansion talk going on, which is exciting. The Florida State Seminoles are going to the Big Ten. Shocker. Oh, you thought I was going to talk about something else? No, we're not going. Let's go to the college football segment. No, uh, but overall with the PA announcer, um, just enjoy the game. It's a part of the game. I like it. Joshua Jackson is a great guy. Go meet him personally. He's the type of dude where he'll get the crowd excited and talk trash, but you meet him on side of the field. He's a humble dude. He'll shake your hand. He'll talk to you, and he's just there for the entertainment purposes of only. And they're all like that. Even Eric down in Orlando is the same way. I guarantee he'll do his thing and go on the field and he'll talk about everything. Like these dudes do this for fun. They like it. They're normal guys. Because when they're on the field after anyone signing autographs, they're genuine dudes. Don't take a grudge. It's a football game. But when there's a rivalry, it gets intensified just a little bit. But still, I've talked to Joshua Jackson off air. Skylar's mentioned it. He does have something prepared for next week, so brace yourself. But still, it's a love of the game. Hashtag love for arena, as I've been trying to trend that everywhere. I wanted to repost that quote, Coach Resnala, but I can't. That's going to be, I just want to laugh at that. But, yep. I like how, again, like I mentioned, how Skylar likes to stir the pot with the PA announcers.
Ralph Judkins brings up a great point, a question, if you will. Can we gripe about the one-sided replays on Jumbotrons that never seem to show the visiting team when it would benefit them? That is something that I've noticed a lot in this particular league, but simply because we see so many of our broadcasts get their video feed from the Jumbotron. So we're sitting at home watching the game in Orlando. Bang up job on broadcasting, Orlando, by the way. And we're seeing the crowd, twerking instead of a replay that is under review because they're afraid it will make their team look bad. It's problematic, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to change, and I don't think it's different than actual professional sports. You go to an NBA game, they do the same kind of stuff in arena. They will keep twisting that knife a little bit. Right, you are, Donnie. I think you see the same stuff. I just think we notice it a lot more in this league because so many of our broadcasts are pulled, the video feed is pulled right off of what they're sending to the Jumbotron. But it is frustrating when you're sitting at home and you're like, I want to see a replay of what they're talking about. And the broadcast crew is afraid to show that because they don't want their team shown in a bad light. It is problematic. It is something that I wish we saw less of. He brings up what do you think, Jim?
Well, you just answered my observation. Most of their feeds that you see on YouTube is exactly what you saw on Jumbotron, because I remember I was on the call with you, Ralph, and I think Zach, when Orlando and Jacksonville played down the Amway, and they're like, something's under review. What can you see in Jacksonville, Jim? And I was like, I see people in the stands on the Jumbotron. And they're like, I think it was you or Ralph said, well, that's what we see. Like it's the exact same feed.
Right.
But the refs are getting all the feeds from them down the camera, down their little area. So I think they just do that because it's easier for the broadcasting team, in my opinion. Ralph may correct me on this or not, to just keep the certain feed connected to the same area from the broadcast to the Jumbotron, so they don't flip a wrong switch and then half the game is gone because they forgot to switch to flip a switch to get the game back on. Because we've seen, not just in our league but in other leagues, where they're having technical issues and you hear the guys talking the whole entire time, and the only thing you see is a black screen. And I think it's just an easier way to production, so they don't have to have a mess up during the broadcast during the game, so people can actually enjoy the game. Yeah, it's nice seeing the kids, get excited that they're on the Jumbotron, and you got the Simba Cam in Carolina, you got the Chug Cam in Orlando.
Last thing that was a comment up here that you kind of skipped over, but I'm not going to let you because I want to point it out. I want everybody to watch Carolina Cobras quarterback Malik Henry under center this week. And see if you believe he is simulating the snap before the snap of the ball with head and leg movements. I'm not saying he is, and I'm not saying he's not. I want you to watch and determine if you think that's happening. Because I'll tell you, I've watched, and based on the rule book, he is not allowed to make jerky kind of movements that simulate the snap before the snap of the ball. He can turn his head and shoulders to look for that receiver in motion, but he cannot bob his head. He cannot move his leg like they do in the shotgun. You know, you see that leg raise shotgun in the NFL. That's not allowed in the NAL according to the rule book. I want everybody to keep a little bit of an eye on Malik Henry and see if you're getting any of that.
Well, I knew you had to talk about that because you mentioned that earlier last week, and you want to put it on. I think you mentioned that on Rebound,
Our
but
show.
unfortunately, oh no, you did on your show.
I think we mentioned it on our show. We didn't mention it on Rebound because I got some people that reached out to me and goes, "You didn't bring up," and so I had to bring it up here, especially since Leo said something about it here.
About that, I just got an email from Facebook. They finally reviewed the video.
Hey, and they went that guy in that Venom jersey was way too ugly to be on Facebook, so we're holding your video off, right?
No, they could not find anything that violated community standards, and said it was reported to have propaganda in it. So someone reported our video, ladies and gentlemen. Just got the email on my phone. It was reported to have propaganda on the video. That's why it wasn't on. So with that, it should be up on YouTube here. I don't think on Facebook, but it should be on up here to YouTube here pretty soon for episode 122. Why will somebody? Never mind. But anyway, I think they just trying to. I can do that. Let me knock Jim down figure two. But for all of that, Phil, anything else? Been a good show. Coach Reginald in the house. I absolutely agree, Coach. Absolutely agree.
Right now, you would have to make a heck of an argument to say anybody else but Sam Castronova. Like he's had that. Yeah, that's who we are. You know us, Leo. You know that we are all about the dog whistle political messages that we bury deep into this arena football podcast so that we can dog whistle political and racist things. They found us. They figured us out, Jim.
Remember 3 weeks ago, we were supposed to be out of the job.
Right. For sure.
But people say, well, Jim must be panicking. He must be in a dark room crying because his show's about to lose. No. I just know this personally. I have people outside have reached out to me. If anything would have happened, anything, I had a landing spot. And it's because of what I do for this show, my dedication to this sport, and what I put through. Because I care about the sport, care about these players. And then again, if they think I'm propaganda, I don't delete my Facebook account to change the name and laugh at every single NAL post because I think I know a lot. That's not me. I'm not going to mention them, but 3 weeks ago, it was supposed to be our demise. And 3 weeks here, we're still here. 3 weeks left of the season. And then a very interesting off season will be coming to the National Arena
Sooner
League.
than you think.
Sooner. And also, again, I hate that channel, but yes, okay. I'll take that. You are fake news. I'll take that, Skylar, but I despise that channel. But overall, last more question. I know all the people are making comments in here. Coach Rezinal is in the house again. He's the one that says it's fake news. Again, we mentioned it earlier in the show. Go watch Ducon Williams' interview on Arena Football Statement. A lot of information in there about a lot of things. It vindicates me from what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. It's something you need to go do. I don't like cross promoting, but Dukon Williams does a great interview. You
I
have to go listen.
love cross promoting. Go listen to Dukon Williams and go listen to the Smoking Guns podcast. That's what you get when you get me on your show, Jim. Be careful, fans, when you watch the Dukon Williams interview. Don't try to read too much into it, because there's some of you that will go and read it and immediately come to Jim's page or to the Discord and go, this means this. It doesn't. He doesn't say anything definitive about anything. He is very careful not to. And there's a reason for that, because there are still things that are in the works and nothing is finalized yet. So there's nothing to report. It gives you some dots that you can connect and start to see a picture that you like or dislike. But don't read so much into it that you then come on the Discord channel or on Jim's or on the Facebook page for the National Arena League and just say, hey, this is what's happening. I heard it on Dukon Williams' interview with this guy. That's not what he said. That's not what anybody said.
And Smoking Guns. Rez, you got to go listen to Phil and the Smoking Guns. They have a good job there.
He has no reason with his connection with Carolina and now his connection with some other Arena League stuff. Maybe he's starting to get closer to the South Texas pro football scene, but I get it. We're a niche show, and we're even a smaller niche than you are. You've got a whole league we're covering. I mean, we do NAL stuff. We do NAL talk, but we're talking specifically about the gunslingers, and then in the XFL season, we also talk about the others. So
with that, thank you everyone for joining our show today. I really appreciate it. Remember, the link is right now in the chat. Join the Discord for the watch party for tomorrow for Carolina and Jacksonville. Might go into West Texas and Orlando, depending on the time. Come join. Listen to us. Have some fun. More information might be out by then. Don't know. But it's been a very intriguing couple of weeks for the NAL or for the arena game instantly. I did kind of upgraded our intro video a little bit. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. It was only $5 off of Fiverr. I had to do it. It was a great deal.
It looked very familiar. I have seen
that
that's something like that before somewhere else.
It was a great steal. $5. I didn't need a lot of money to do it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for Coach Resinalo, the ref. It's in here. I almost think Inside the Walls podcast, because I looked at the chat and like, think Inside. Oh wait, we are the Inside the Walls podcast. I am Ron Burgundy. Thank you to everyone, especially your co-host Leo. I'm surprised RC hasn't showed up. I would expect her to show up once in a while. She was in the last show, I think. I saw her pop up.
I noticed that Leo, as we're getting ready to sign off here, says, great show, Jim. He did not say great show, Jim and Philip. And I think we all know what that means. He's tired of hearing my voice because he has to hear it every week for 2 hours. And this is just a whole extra hour for him this week.
Also, you were trying to kind of set him up to get kicked out of his own house. Just saying, he kind of did.
I mean, these things happen.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, again, I already mentioned, live show, watch party tomorrow on our Discord. Links in our description. Come join us. Have a good time listening, talking to each other, talking about arena football and the National Arena League and Sharks versus Cobras. You might actually listen to me, see how I sound like watching a game sometimes. Don't ask Phil or Ralph, who usually are on, because sometimes I'm boring because I don't say anything. Then I get really pissed out of nowhere. Then Jim's mad at something. So go join our watch party tomorrow. Free, nothing is in our Discord. To the people who are on our Patreon page, I do apologize. Zach does have some videos that he had for last episode. We're going to put them on the Patreon, so Zach will have his opinions about last week's games and this week's games. That will be on the Patreon up here probably by tomorrow. And go, Phil. I know you have a Patreon page, so promote your stuff. Go right ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that the Smoking Guns podcast is a patron of the Inside the Walls podcast. That doesn't seem to go the other way, but we support everything that our buddies over here at Inside the Walls does. So go check them out and be a part of Inside the Walls Plus. And if you're really interested in supporting NAL media, Inside the Walls is a great place to support. It costs something to do a podcast. So Jim and Zach pay something to do this, and they just trying to recover some of that cost. On the flip side, Smoking Guns podcast also has a Patreon. We are at patreon.com/Smoking Guns Pod, smoking no G, guns with a Z, POD.
All right, I found a live view of that interaction between me and you about. Hey, I see if it goes both ways, and me about the retort. This was actually what came in my mind. That's Phil. You got to pay. I thought I did. My bad. I thought I did.
Skylar Lane, Skylar Lane points out here though, the work that you guys do, Inside the Walls does, certainly deserves some league recognition and maybe even some dollars shunted your way. I know that you would never say that. I'm going to say that for you. You can't stop me. You can edit it out later if you really want to.
Well, this is live, and I'm not going to edit.
But
we already
the league is thankful. I know they are. But there's ways you can say thanks beyond thank you. And I think the league should be willing to thank you guys for everything that you do and the way that you hold the banner high, even in rough times.
I do know this: if the championship game is in Jacksonville, trying to convince Zach to make the journey eastward, because I've seen direct flights from Phoenix to Jacksonville. If Zach's watching this, I've seen him. It's on Southwest Airlines, direct flights. But if the championship game is in Jacksonville, we will be having a live at the arena podcast. I'm working with Steven Shatola right now to get that happen. And if you happen to make your way to Jacksonville on the championship game, Phil, it'd be pretty cool to have let's say San Antonio makes a journey. San Antonio, Jacksonville, have a joint crossover event for that. It'd be pretty cool. But we are working on something for the championship game, possibly for the award show the night before. That's if it's in Jacksonville. But yeah, again, the National Arena League, I'm thankful for being the official podcast. I've built some great relationships in the league, and people say that if Jim or Zach don't say it, it doesn't mean it's not 100% confirmed. I gave you a little tidbit earlier in the day. Sorry, Leo, you could join too.
That's right. No. Only Philip. Only Philip got the invite. That's correct. That's the way it works.
Hey, I thought you guys were taking the bus, that 20-some hour bus drive that's going to be.
So there is an outside chance that some family business could take me to Florida that weekend. So I am really right now, nothing is confirmed, but there is just this outside chance right now that some family business could put me in state over that weekend. And if San Antonio is going to be in Jacksonville for a championship game, it's going to be really hard for me to not rent a car and drive 4 hours from where I'll be to go see San Antonio win the championship game in Jacksonville. Guns up.
I can't believe how dare you say that in this show. but yeah, there are some things being planned for the championship game. Hopefully it's here in Jax. That means my Sharks made it there. And if San Antonio gets there, it'd be pretty cool. Meet all the fam from San Antonio to make the trip. Jacksonville is a beautiful city, just not this time of year because of the heat. But
South Texas, same.
Traffic will be light because the Jaguars are on the road, so downtown won't be packed because preseason. That's the first week of preseason, I think, in the NFL.
They will be in Dallas playing my Dallas Cowboys. Jacksonville goes 0-2 that day if the Gunslingers go to the championship.
Well, I think they're going to go 1-1. Sharks win the championship, and Jacksonville loses a meaningless game in Dallas.
Duval's going to be very upset with Texas after that day, going 0-2.
So the family in San Antonio, if you make the trip over, it'd be pretty cool. I'll be there. It'll be an exciting time. But yeah.
Leo says, what? Traffic isn't light even when the Jaguars are in town?
No comment. No. But we've been out here way too long, ladies and gentlemen.
We're having fun.
That's one thing I love about these live streams is they help fill time. So the people who are listening on podcasts have no idea what we're talking about because you have to watch it live, especially on YouTube or on all our platforms, including 2 additional platforms tonight, courtesy of the Smoking Guns podcast. I just lost my... Leo, you did not lose your invite. Jacksonville will welcome you in open arms, you and RC and everyone. But overall, great episode. Good times are coming. I know people say, Jim, you're holding the banner too high. Well, sorry.
No such thing.
No such thing. No.
No such thing.
Remember, call-in show. Not call-in show. Which is a call-in show. I don't know how they can do that on StreamYard. That'd be another update they'll do pretty soon here. Watch. Love this platform. StreamYard with all these freaking updates do an amazing job. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, Discord chat tomorrow night for Carolina and Jacksonville, possibly some West Texas and Orlando to wrap up the evening. And we'll see you Monday night or Tuesday night. Zach will be back. Schedule has changed. He'll be back. And for
good news
for Philip, Tuesday or Monday for Monday? Okay. So you went back to the Monday schedule then?
Yeah, we're on the Monday schedule. Tuesday is a rarity if we have a guest that needs us to slide back to Tuesday or, if it's a really big, important game during the weekend and we haven't had time to rest our voices because all 3 of us yell and scream at a San Antonio Gunslinger game or a San Antonio Brahma game. And if we need that extra day to let our voices heal, podcasts are no fun to listen to when everybody talks like this.
Or monotone.
So sometimes we'll slide to Tuesday, but generally it's Monday, 7 o'clock Central Time, which is 8 out there?
8, yeah. Time zones. I hate them.
I hate them. I hate them.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am Jim Renee. That is Philip. I'm not going to pronounce your last name. Every time I try to pronounce your last name, I feel like I'm disrespecting you. So, Philip from the Smoking Guns podcast. This has been episode 123. And hopefully you guys enjoy our outro. And we'll see you guys Tuesday. Technology. Here we go. See you later, ladies and gentlemen.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast